All right, aloha everyone. I'm going to be just showing an example from the book that a lot of you struggled on. So we're starting to talk about tariffs, and just real brief, a tariff is a tax on an import. So if the United States puts a tariff on China, then when Chinese companies want to sell those products in the US, they have to pay a tax to the United States government. So that's what it is in a nutshell. Now, when we're talking in this problem particularly, we're talking about consumer surplus. Now, if you think about consumer surplus, let's say this is our consumer, and here's kind of his demand curve. And then the market, is going to add into that what that full curve looks like. And for the producer, what the supply curve looks like. So the market, so the aggregate of everyone involved in these transactions has set the price here. Well, let's say I represent the guy right here. Okay. So if the price is here, for me in this moment, in this transaction, say I'm willing to pay $10 for this product and the price is at $5, you see I have a surplus. And we can measure that as being $5. So the idea of calculating consumer surplus is we're looking at, in the aggregate for all the consumers involved in this market, what kind of value are we creating? And it's going to be the area of this whole triangle. So it's really easy math. I mean, if you just remember basic geometry, a square is width times length. And now to find the triangle, we just divide that by 2, right? So that's really the only equation you'll need for this, just basic addition, subtraction, and just finding the area of a triangle. So let's dive into this problem. So we're looking, free trade, consumer surplus, what's gonna happen? So first we have to figure out what it was before free trade was allowed. So that's going to be represented by where this supply line, the domestic supply line, and the domestic demand line intersect. So that equilibrium point, this is with no other people involved, no world market, no world supply. This is just people within one country supplying for consumers in one country. So in that case, if we're looking right here, this person is willing to pay $18, this person's willing to pay $15, this person's willing to pay $12, so on. The price is 9. So anyone who's willing to pay above that is adding to this idea of consumer surplus or value that's being generated. So to put a numerical value to that, all we have to do is just this basic math of 18, right? Because that's our top value, to 9, which is our price. So that's going to be the height, which of course is equal to, make sure I'm doing my math right time. And then our width is going to be 0 to 9, so 9 minus 0 equals 9. Times this together, 81. That would give us area for that whole square, but we're interested just in this section right here. So divide that by 2, 81 divided by 2 is 40.5. All right. So now we're going to look and see what happens when we allow for free trade. So we're going to follow the same domestic supply line for any producer who's willing to sell below that equilibrium price. And then as soon as you hit this kink right here, all of a sudden, me as the domestic supplier, producer, I can't afford to sell more at that price. I have to raise my price, whereas the world supply, because there's so many, actually change the shape to where it's a horizontal supply curve. And just the theory kind of behind this, if you just think about it, like if there's millions and millions of producers all over the world and everyone it's within reason that somewhere on their supply curve can supply products at that price at some level, then if the domestic consumers have access to that entire market, really they can order as much of as much as they want of that product at that price. So the curve flattens out when you introduce free trade. So just real basic, price is going to be set where demand and supply intersect. Our supply lines, our demand line's still exactly the same because we're just talking about domestic. So that's going to move our equilibrium point, our price point right there. So drop the price all the way down to $6. So now to look at what happened to consumer surplus, and already it should be obvious to you that it's enlarged quite a bit. So we're just trying to find the area of this triangle right here. So again, we're going to take the top bound minus the lower bound. So 18 minus 6 equals 12. 12 and 0. 12 minus 0 equals 12. 144. Divide by 2, because we're trying to find just the triangle. 144 divided by 2 equals 72. And we know that before trade, if you'll recall, it was 40.5 was that other value that we calculated. So in terms of just numerical values, it should be pretty clear by now what the answer is. So then we check over here. Oh, yep, there it is. All right, I hope that helped. I'll do one more quick example looking at the surplus side. And as you're thinking about consumer and producer surplus, it becomes quite clear after a while which party is going to argue for a tariff. Oh, sorry, that's the same one. Because you see that who stands to gain and who stands to lose is pretty dramatic, the difference that free trade causes in the market. All right, so now we're looking, the government eliminated free trade. Oh, turn my annotation back on. Government eliminated free trade. What would happen to producer surplus? So first, let's look at it before. So if there is world trade, so that means we're going to have that interesting looking supply curve where the price is set right here. So we're thinking about the domestic producer. So that's going to be this supply curve right here. So anything above the domestic supply curve and below the price is going to be surplus. So it's the same idea as consumer, just swap. So if there's a producer out there who's willing to sell for a penny and he gets to sell it for $6, that's a lot of surplus, and that's going to be represented for that right there. And then the next person, they're willing to sell it for $3, but they get to sell it for $6. That's great for them. There's some value created there. So we're really just interested in that area right there. Again, real easy math. 6 minus 0, 6. This bound to that bound, because we're just looking right there, right? 6 minus, oops, draw a little slower so it picks up a little easier. So area of that square is 36, but the triangle that actually represents our surplus is going to be 18. All right, so now let's take a look. So I'll write that in the corner, 18, so I don't forget it. Now let's take a look if the government eliminates free trade altogether, not even a tariff, like solely the domestic supplier. So that means we're going to be just where domestic supply and domestic demand intersect. So this should look really familiar. We've been doing this all semester. So that's going to be, whoop, right there is our equilibrium where our price is set. And we are interested in this area below price and above the supply curve. All right, so we have 9 to 0 and 9 to 0. 9 minus 0, 9 minus 0 equals 9 equals 9. 81 for the square, divided by 2, 40.5. So we know that before the government eliminated free trade, it was 18. After, it's 40.5. So what's the difference? 40.5 minus 18. The answer is 31.5. Nope, sorry. I was reading the other problem. I should just do the math. I wrote it down trying to be slick. 40.5 minus 18 is 22.5. Sorry about that. Didn't confuse anyone. So then we come over here, we check. Boom. Yes, there's our answer. Great. Anyway, that's just a couple little examples that we work through when we're talking about tariffs. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, please come to Econ Lab. I would love to talk to you about your problems and your questions and help you ace this next exam. Anyway, have a great day, and I hope this helped. Bye-bye.